Phones, tablets, EVs, vacuums, tools, your kid's toothbrush. They can all have two things in common. They might use lithium ion batteries, and they can be a fire safety hazard. Let's charge into fire safety in this edition of the Texas Insurance Podcast. Hello, I'm Misty Highnote. Today we're talking with Kelly Ransdell with the National Fire Protection Association about preventing fires caused by lithium ion batteries. If you find this information useful, please like and subscribe to the Texas Insurance Podcast and share it with your friends and family. Well, welcome, Kelly. Thanks for joining us today to talk about Fire Prevention Week.
Yeah, we're so excited to be a part of this year's campaign and to do some outreach in Texas.
Great. Well, let's start with some basics. Why was lithium-ion battery safety chosen as the topic for this year's Fire Prevention Week?
So we're a not-for-profit organization that focuses on safety. And so we follow trends and emerging risk. And so really for the last 2 to 3 years, we have been following this lithium-ion battery issue, both from electric vehicles all the way to small electronics. And so as we kind of got out and educated the fire service, as we followed news stories and also things, we realized that there was an opportunity to educate the public on lithium-ion batteries. And what we found is the majority of people, when you say lithium-ion batteries, people say, what's that? Well, anything rechargeable pretty much has a lithium-ion battery in it. And there are hundreds of them in most people's homes. It can be things from your cell phone, which people are aware of, to iPods, iPhones, any type of electronic. Also, toys have these type of batteries if they're rechargeable. Toothbrushes, you have vacuums, but there's all kinds of things all across people's homes. And so we started looking at the issue and we decided we should do a campaign focused on how do you charge into fire safety? And that was lithium-ion batteries in the home.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I had heard of AA batteries and AAA batteries, but yeah, I myself thought, where do I find these? But yeah, you explained a whole list of them. So yeah, and why are these batteries more risky than those other types of batteries?
So they're made a little different. They have what's called lithium salts in them. And so we know that just by nature, one, they provide great benefits. So they have helped us to have a lot smaller batteries. We know that they have great functionality. We know they last a long time. But the other side of that is they can be flammable. And if damaged or just over time, we always say, how many drops, how many licks to get to the inside of a Tootsie Roll? Well, with these, how many drops does it take until the battery is damaged? And it really is the same principle. They are designed to be very portable and very lightweight, but there is a little bit of a fire hazard that comes with them. So we decided that we should really look at the campaign and decide what was causing the most fires. And so it was broken into really 3 buckets. The first is making sure people buy products that are listed and certified. The second was, how do you charge them properly? Because that's where other things were happening. And then the third one is, when they quit working, how do I get rid of them? And what's the proper way to do that? So that's the 3 messages that kind of rose to the top of this year's campaign.
Yeah, and you talked about the dangers of them. Do they blow up like you see on TV?
They have an explosion risk. So what we find is these batteries have this little tiny thing in the middle of them called a separator. And it's kind of the referee. It keeps the anode and the cathode kind of separate. It provides like just the amount. It's like the referee of a ball game. It keeps things safe. Well, if it's damaged and steps out or melts away, what happens is it overheats. And so that's what happens is it goes into something called thermal runaway. Thermal runaway means that battery will actually start getting hot. It keeps generating heat and it will perforate the outside of it. It puts out a toxic gas and that will explode. And that's where we see a lot of these dangers is people have them all over their homes. And so if they explode, it ignites everything around it. And it's a little tiny thing, but it has a whole lot of fire with it. And that's why we've got to make sure people know about the risk and that they take the steps necessary to protect themselves.
Yeah, they sound useful but risky. Yeah. So what tips do you have for buying these types of
Okay, so
batteries?
first we want to talk to people. Online buying has created a little bit of a challenge. It is super convenient, but it's not like when you actually go somewhere and you're able to put your hands on a product. So first, we want you to buy listed and certified products. And the way you do that is you look for a safety seal. And so you'll see on packaging that they will have the symbol. Some common ones are ones like UL, CE. If you're in Canada, it's CSA. There's over 100 nationally recognized testing labs. And so what that means is if a product has a safety seal that's recognized in the United States, then we know it's met minimum safety standards. And so that's the first thing people can do is check the actual item or check the packaging to make sure it has the seal of one of those safety organizations. And so that's the first thing, that if you do that, we know how it performs. Early on, when we had hoverboards and also e-bikes, there was no listing standard for them. And luckily, there was a standard put in place. And so even with e-bikes, we need people to see, is your e-bike actually listed and certified? Because if not, it can have an inherent danger because we don't know how they perform. So that's the first thing. The second thing is charging. Like, people just take for granted that charging's not a big deal, but charging is a key time when you may have something happen. So we recommend that, one, you always use the charger that comes with the device. So if I have a Android cell phone, I need to make sure that the charger either that came with it is used, or say you travel and you forget it. We really don't want you going and buying just any old charger because unfortunately they're brand specific. So that takes a little action. So you want to make sure it either is approved by the manufacturer, that you buy it from them, or it is certified for that. So for example, an Apple product would have an Apple certified charger. Because what happens is if you put a charger on a device and it's not made for that, either the phone or the charging cable is going to get hot. That should be a red flag to you that something's wrong. So first is making sure you charge it properly with the right cable. The second thing people don't know is when it is fully charged, you're supposed to take it off the charger. And that is something that, whether it's a battery for a power tool, whether it's any of your electronics, people leave them on the chargers, but actually that can cause too much charging, too less. You can have energy going to it. So when it is 100% fully charged, we want you to take it off the charger. And then we also want you to know how to identify if there's a problem. That is, if that battery starts having a weird smell, and that's really the best way to describe it. It can be like a sweet electrical smell. If it's getting hot, if the battery's bulging or changing shape, if it changes color, all of those are signs that there's a problem. And we want you to make sure that you stop charging. Same thing. I was just in Texas last week and it was super hot. And one of the things we find is these batteries don't do good in super cold or super hot. So for you living in a really warm place, you want to make sure you're not leaving them in your car or in direct sunlight because it can actually damage that battery.
Wow, those are some great tips. Yeah, reading the packaging, reading on the charger. So will it say certified if you're going to buy a new charger? You look for that word certified on
Where it's listed or certified for the brand. And it takes a little bit of work because it's a little harder with online shopping for you to read, but you can look under product specifications and it will give you information, but look for that safety seal. And then the third part of this is as we kind of traveled all over the country, what I found is people didn't know what to do when they quit working. And that is, okay, I have a lithium ion battery. What do I do with it when it stops working? So we went on this little adventure to find out. And here's what we found. The first thing is you never throw these batteries in the trash bin and you never throw it in regular recycling. Like, this has new rules. You actually are going to want to turn those in to a special site that can take them. So as we looked at this nationally, we said, hey, how do you do that? Because technically this is a form of recycling. It's special recycling and special handling. And so as part of that, we partnered with Call to Recycle. So when you go to the Call to Recycle website, you can put in your zip code and it'll tell you everywhere in your community that you can find a drop-off location. So I did it in my hometown and it was going to be a big box store here. So it was like Staples, Home Depot, Lowe's. But it's a good way for people to find a place. And then we also found that depending on if you're in a large city or a small city, your trash and recycling folks may have a special way they want you to do it. And so we want people looking for what's the best way in your community to dispose of these. And in many cases, that's going to be a special recycling facility where you turn them in. So I had a vacuum that quit working. And unfortunately, these batteries in most cases are not designed to be taken out. And so you can actually turn in that product at these places. So it was an easy way to tell people all across the country how you can get rid of them properly.
Okay. Is it similar to where you take your AA and AAA batteries?
It is similar. So
Right,
I
okay.
actually went, they have a special box that you can place them in. At Home Depot. It was by customer service, and Lowe's, it was right outside the main doors. And they actually took CFL light bulbs. They had one compartment. They have lithium ion batteries you could put there. And then I could also recycle my plastic bags. And so we found that a lot of people want to do the right thing. They just don't know how to do it. And so there's many efforts nationally to help us kind of with this. One is going to be many of the waste and recycling associations are starting campaigns where they're educating the public on this. So we see this as an opportunity to kind of have these hard conversations and equip the public with how to safely do this. The problem is if you throw it in your regular trash or if you throw it in your regular recycling bin, it's causing fires in the trucks that actually pick them up. It's causing fires in the landfills, and it's causing fires in the recycling facilities. And those are catastrophic losses. So we really have a lot of work to do in that whole spectrum of fire safety around these devices, because they're going to be here for a long time, and so many people have them.
Right. So we want to find that one-stop shop for recycling. Yeah, that's a great idea. And say we have a larger item like a scooter that we need to charge inside, because we don't want it stolen outside. Is there a safe place to do that in our house?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't give you a way to charge that inside the house. So we've been following this for a long time, and what we find is that we know there's a theft issue. People are worried about them being stolen, but unfortunately, there's not a safe way. So if you have a garage, we would definitely want you to monitor it. So if you're charging, and you're gonna want to. It's kind of like just being vigilant to it. My husband has rechargeable batteries for his power tools, and he'll stick it
Mhm.
on the charger. Well, I only do that when I'm in the garage working on things and in the yard, and I set a timer. It's almost like cooking safety, keeping it. I set a timer, I go back, and when I see that it's fully charged, I take it off that charger. It's going to be the same with e-bikes, and that is you want to charge it in a place that if something were to go wrong, it's not going to cause a fire. But if you buy a listed product, we know it makes it easier to actually have a safe way of doing it. It's been tested and we know that. But I will tell you that in many cases, when people bring them inside to charge them, some as soon as like an hour and 30 minutes after can go into what they call thermal runaway. And we see a whole room can go up in fire in 30 seconds. It is big fire from a little tiny battery. And that is why we're making sure people are not charging stuff overnight. You're not bringing it inside, and that you actually remove it to a place where it won't burn anything else, because there's not a great way to extinguish them except to call the fire department and put copious amounts of water on it.
Well, I'm gonna go home tonight and take my leaf blower charger off the charger in the garage.
Well,
But
and as we kind of launch this campaign, I'm gonna be very honest, Misty, we found that the majority of people all across the country had no idea that they should do that, and it was best practice. And so that's why this campaign is so exciting, is because every person we talk to, you're using lithium ion batteries. You may not call them that, but you're using them. And so how do we make sure you can use them safely? And we know how to do that.
and those smaller appliances, you talk about your watches, your tablets. What's the best place in the house to charge those?
So, if you have a desk or a hard surface, that's the other thing, is making sure you're always charging on a hard surface. That can be a table, never in bed with you, never on carpet, things that can ignite. So making sure you're charging it on a hard surface. My kids are so sick of this because I'm like, they have a phone that's rechargeable. They have a watch that's rechargeable, and we always make sure that they have it on a hard surface and that it's not in bed with them. And so that's another thing, not on couches or anything soft, but to always place it on there. The good thing about it is if you're buying a listed product, so many of your cell phones have been around long enough that they have a lot of controls in them. And so we don't see as many issues unless they're damaged. And that's the main thing is, if you were to drop something on a phone, or if you were to actually, the airlines have an announcement now, if you drop your cell phone in your seat,
Mhm.
do not adjust it. And the reason is it can pinch that battery. And as part of that, when you pinch that battery, it can cause the outside to be perforated and that battery to be damaged.
Okay, I was on a flight last week and I heard that, and I had no idea that was the first time I'd heard it. So now I know why. That's
Well, absolutely. And the other thing is they'll ask you, do you have any lithium ion batteries in your bags? And I watched this gentleman and he was like, I don't know what that means. And I said, that's rechargeable. Anything that's rechargeable. And so I say that because as we message this, we're finding that we need to explain. Yes, I'm of the fire world and I know what lithium ion means, but the actual public may not. So that's why it really takes a little effort to say, do you have anything rechargeable? Because there's a good chance that's this type of battery.
yeah, man, I've learned so much today. Yeah. Do you have any final tips? Anything we need to keep in mind?
I think this campaign is so exciting because it touches from little kids that are using electronics, their parents, older adults. It affects our everyday life. And we know the things you can do to keep yourself safe. And so I hope the takeaway is everybody can do something. And you can do it by first putting your money to things that have been through the safety standards. Secondly, these simple things that we found for charging, always on a hard surface, using the correct charger, and even the fact that when it's fully charged, taking it off. Those are some things that can really make a difference. And then also being environmentally and also fire safety when we get rid of them, when we need to be able to do it. And the cool thing is that if you turn them into these special recycling facilities, never in your trash can and never in regular recycling, but if you find a location that can take that, they're actually going to take the components out of it, and it's better for our environment, and it's also the safest way to stay fire safe with these products when we're done. So it's very simple, 3 steps to keep you safe for something you use every day. And we just appreciate the opportunity to kind of expand that message.
Yeah, that's great. I have so much to go home and tell my family. Yeah, there's a
That's
lot.
great. And thank you so much for
Right.
having me on here. You can find out more information by going to fpw.org. Fpw.org has tons of materials that kind of talk about this if you need a refresher. And, we hope that every family can stay safe using these devices just by following these 3 steps.
That's great. Yeah, and FPW for Fire Prevention Week. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kelly. I really appreciate this.
Thank you.
Now that you know about the dangers of lithium ion batteries, watch this video about creating an escape plan with your family. And if you have fire safety questions, visit our website or call our helpline. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.